I'm Elizabeth at A Literary Princess, and today I'm doing my May TBR. So for April, I did a very toned down TBR because I have been in a reading slump. I am out of the reading slump, thankfully. You will see in my April wrap up. However, a lot of the books that I read were not actually on the TBR. So while this is not quite as toned down as the April TBR, it is still a little more toned down because who even knows what I'll be feeling like reading? Certainly not me, apparently. Let's jump right into it. First up, I have two books for my dissertation, one fiction and one nonfiction. We're gonna start with the nonfiction, which is from the school library, meaning, you guessed it, it does not have a real cover. This is Becoming a Woman of Letters, Myths of Authorship and Facts of the Victorian Market by Linda H. Peterson. I have read works by Peterson before, short works for essays that I've written on Margaret Oliphant, so I know that I like her style of writing. This sounds like it will be very helpful for my dissertation, which I kind of have more figured out now. So I will be reading this. Next up, for the fiction, this was on the April TBR and I just never got to it. This is The Mystery of Mrs. Blencarrow by Margaret Oliphant. It also contains Queen Eleanor and Fair Rosamond. I'll be reading both of them. Margaret Oliphant is one of the 4 authors I am focusing on in my dissertation, so I'm going to be reading a lot of her work. Next up is my read for the George Eliot project for May. This is Silas Marner. I have not read this since I was 14, so we'll see how this goes. I didn't like it when I was 14. It felt really long, despite the fact that this edition is 150 pages. And this is the edition I had when I was 14. So we will see how this goes. This follows a man named Silas Marner, who's kind of a recluse, shut off from the world, but then he ends up finding and caring for this baby. And things go from there. I don't really remember much of it, other than that I didn't like it, so we'll see. And then I actually have a second read for the George Eliot project, but this is not fiction, nor is it written by George Eliot, nor does it have a real cover. This is George Eliot, A Life by Rosemary Ashton. It is a biography of Eliot. I thought that it would be good to start reading this the month that I read Silas Marner, since Silas Marner is so short and is a bit chunky, although I'm sure a lot of these last pages are notes and whatnot. But starting it with a shorter book is a good idea. Now the question will be, will I finish The Mill on the Floss in April as I'm planned? I don't know. I don't think I will be finishing this biography in May. I just want to get it started. Next up is my Fairy Tale Friday read for the month. This one will be posted about in a video on here. This is A Wild Winter Swan by Gregory Maguire. It is a retelling of The Wild Swans, and it is set in 1960s New York, following a young Italian-American girl named Laura. Laura? Yes, Laura. I'm really excited to get to this. I have had it for quite a while and have not read it. I love Gregory Maguire. Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister is one of my favorite books ever, and I always just love the covers of his books. I will say though, it's much more convenient when they're paperbacks. Oh, look at that. Oh my God. It's stunning. But yeah, way more convenient when they're paperbacks and not hardcovers. This is the only Gregory Maguire I have in hardcover because my mom bought it for me right when it came out. Next up is more of a fun read, and it's actually for a new project that I've started. I know, do I need more projects? No, I don't. I have a dissertation to write. This is more of just like a kind of loose project though. I'm not making any videos about it. I'll just be mentioning it when I am doing my TBRs. I would like to read all of the unread fiction I have on my general fiction shelf. So I've decided that a good way to go about this when I don't have a specific one that I want to be reading is to just grab the next one that's in alphabetical order by author. So for April, I ended up reading The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, because that was it's the first book of my general fiction shelf, and I hadn't actually read the whole thing. So I read that in April, and I decided, you know what, let's keep this going. So for May, I have picked up The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. This I got for a birthday present fairly recently, or a Christmas present, I can't remember which. And honestly, like, I was like, oh, cat, and wanted it. But this focuses on a cat named Nana who is on a road trip with his human Satoru, and they're just kind of going around and meeting people in Japan. Honestly, I'm expecting this to be heartbreaking, because when is an animal story ever not heartbreaking? But I don't know. It sounds really sweet. It's short, not too long, and there's a cat. It's a cat. Last up is one that I have on my Kindle. It is an ARC from NetGalley. It is not coming out until the beginning of June, but you know what's a great idea? Read it in May so I can review it and have the review up by June. This is Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall. It is a historical fantasy set in the Regency period, and there is something about a sapphic romance in here. I don't know much about it other than that, and the fact that it has a beautiful cover. Look at it. Oh my word. So we'll see how I like it. That is my May TBR. Let me know down in the comments below. Have you read any of these? What did you think? What are you reading in May? It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.